Was in Nigeria and around the world to make the news coming to you from the nation's capital, Abuja. I Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to meet the news coming to you from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annie T. Patrick. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on Star Times channel 276. And now in the news. The House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill seeking to amend the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Establishment Act 2004 to confer institutional independence on the Anti-Corruption Agency. The resolution of the House followed the consideration of a bill sponsored by Plateau State lawmaker Yusuf Gadi during plenary. Among other provisions, the proposed legislation seeks to insulate the Commission from political control and align its operations with global anti-corruption best practices. The new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Josh Amopiton, has pledged to uphold the highest standards of integrity and transparency in the nation's electoral process. The new INEC boss made the commitment shortly after he was sworn in by President Bola Tinubu in Abuja. Our correspondent has more. The ceremony marks a new chapter in Nigeria's democratic journey as Professor Josh Amopiton formally assumes office as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Addressing management and staff at the commission's headquarters, Professor Amopiton emphasized teamwork, discipline, and renewed voter confidence as key to INEC's next phase. He said the staff must work together to strengthen processes and build public trust ahead of the upcoming Anambra governorship election.
Our mandate is very clear as INEC. INEC has a constitutional responsibility and a statutory mandate, as we all know. Our mandate is clear, and what is it? To deliver free, fair, and credible elections that reflect the will of Nigerian people. To achieve this, we must work together as a team. So that is why it was so important for us to start our assignment with this interaction.
Earlier, the acting INEC chairman, May Agbamuchembu, while handing over, described Professor Amopiton's appointment as a continuation of reforms that have strengthened Nigeria's electoral system through technology and transparency.
A significant moment in the life of our commission and indeed our nation's democratic journey. It is a day of continuity, renewal, and steadfast commitment to the ideals of credible elections and good governance.
As the INEC chairman settles into office, attention now shifts to how his leadership will steer INEC through the forthcoming Anambra governorship election and further deepen Nigeria's democracy. Professor Amopiton succeeds Professor Mahmood Yakubu, and his tenure begins at a time of high expectations for electoral credibility and reform. Annie T. Patrick, reporting for Global TV News. And the Senate is set to amend the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency Act to secure better funding and improve road maintenance across the country. National Assembly correspondent Topsy Gimba has the details.
The Senate Committee of FEMA highlighted this during the screening of President Bola Tinubu's nominee for chairman of the FEMA Board of Trustees. The committee, led by Senator Sha'abi Alhaji Yawu Samfara North, expressed concern over the continued poor state of federal roads, attributing the challenge to inadequate funding of FEMA. Senator Yawu lamented that despite FEMA's critical role in maintaining the nation's road infrastructure, lack of sufficient funds has hampered effective operations.
FEMA should be an agency that should be well funded, and we are looking forward at a situation whereby we will make some amendments into the law that created FEMA for us to be able to make it work well and properly.
Responding to lawmakers' questions, Musa Babayo, nominee for FEMA board chairman, vowed to use his extensive public service experience to reform and strengthen the agency's capacity.
For FEMA to succeed, we need that collaboration, especially at the National Assembly level. The Committee on PAMA at both chambers of the National Assembly will continue to engage with other critical stakeholders and other institutions of state, the Ministry of Finance, the ICRC, and other development partners.
Babayo's confirmation could mark a turning point as the Senate works towards amending the FEMA Act to enhance funding mechanisms aiming to deliver safer, more reliable roads for Nigerians. The amendment, once passed, is expected to boost the agency's budget and operational efficiency towards tackling Nigeria's road infrastructure challenges decisively. Topsy Gimba reporting for Global Television News.
So staying with the House, the National Assembly, the House of Representatives is demanding answers from the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, over reports that officers manning checkpoints in parts of the southeast and south-south are not properly catered. This followed a motion of urgent public importance raised by Abia State lawmaker Ibe Osonwa, who described the trend among personnel of the Nigerian Police and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps as alarming and a threat to national security. National Assembly correspondent tells us more. The sponsor of the motion, Ibe Osonwa, described the situation as alarming as it duly undermines public confidence and accountability within the security system.
The House has observed that this gross lack of proper identification at checkpoints creates a dangerous climate of ambiguity, making it virtually impossible for citizens to distinguish between genuine security personnel and criminal impersonators.
Adopting the motion, the House resolved that the Inspector General of Police should appear before the Committee on Police Affairs to explain why the situation persists and what steps are being taken to correct it. In a related development, Ahmed Saba from Kwara State urged the federal government to send humanitarian relief to communities in Patagi affected by recent insurgent attacks. He commended the Nigerian Army for restoring calm to the area.
Of ongoing effort of the Nigerian Army and other security agencies, including police, force, Department of State Security Services, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and local vigilante group to combat the bandit and restore peace.
Also on the floor, Uyime Idem of Akwa Ibom State raised concerns over oil spills and environmental degradation in Ukanafong local government area, calling for urgent federal intervention.
Concerned that the persistent oil spillages have contaminated water sources, destroyed farmlands, killed aquatic life, and subjected residents to economic hardship. Before removing the EFCC chairman past second reading, the proposal was sponsored by Yusuf Gaddi of Plateau State.
Cybercrime, cryptocurrency manipulation, illicit financial flows, terrorism financing, and real estate-based money laundering had become prevalent. Yet, the EFCC operate under outdated provisions that do not adequately address those new realities.
And in what could lead to a new state in Nigeria, the House also considered a bill seeking to create Ijebu State from present-day Ogun State. The bill, sponsored by Olufemi Ogunbanwo and 3 others, has now been referred to the Constitution Review Committee for further legislative work. From the National Assembly, Aniete Patrick reporting for Global TV News. Nigerian Police Force says it has intensified its clampdown on gun runners and criminal networks supplying arms to bandits and kidnappers across the country. At a press briefing in Abuja, Force Public Relations Officer CSP Benjamin Hundeyi disclosed that several high-caliber weapons were recovered and 9 suspects arrested in coordinated operations led by the Force Intelligence Department's Intelligence Response Team. Here's Ubong Usoro with the details.
In a renewed offensive against illegal arms trade, operatives of the Intelligence Response Team have dismantled multiple syndicates operating across Nasarawa, Plateau, Taraba, Kaduna, and Benue states. The Force Public Relations Officer, CSP Benjamin Ondeyi, reveals that over the past month, the police recovered 4 AK-47 rifles, 2 AK-47 rifles, 4 pump-action guns, and 15 magazines, more than 600 rounds of live ammunition, and other locally fabricated weapons in a series of intelligence-led raids.
The achievements we're presenting today, the achievements of the Nigeria Police Force, were proudly carried out by the Intelligence Response Team, the IRT of the Force Intelligence Department. And this is in furtherance of the charge of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeoluegbetokun, PhD, NPM, to officers and men of the force to ensure that crime is brought to the barest minimum.
5 major cases were highlighted at the briefing, including the arrest of 9 suspects linked to gun running, kidnapping, and criminal conspiracy. Among them is a 40-year-old Bello Lado, also known as Bingo, and 3 other suspects arrested in Nasarawa and Plateau states. Police investigation revealed that the group had conspired since 2022 to trade nearly 500 rounds of live ammunition before their arrest.
All we do is to ensure that we fight headlong crime and criminality. So what we have here is what we have stated.
Force Public Relations officers say the recent breakthroughs reflect the ongoing reform within the Police Force Intelligence Department aimed at strengthening intelligence gathering and proactive policing. He therefore urged citizens to continue providing credible information to aid the fight against gun running and other violent crimes across the country. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
In a renewed call for greener and smarter cities across Africa, the Nigerian Environmental Society has convened its 34th National Conference and Annual General Meeting in Abuja, bringing together key voices in the nation's environmental sector. Here's Ubong Usoro again with the report.
With the theme, Sustainable Cities with Smart Solutions in Africa, the place of environmental management and social justice, the conference brought together environmental experts, policymakers, and stakeholders to chart a sustainable course for African cities. Speaking during the opening ceremony, the national president, Dr. Efebidike Okobia, emphasized the importance of integrating smart technologies and environmental management practices to achieve sustainable urban development.
We are celebrating first the 40th anniversary. The society is 40 years this month, precisely 17th of October, and it is also our 34th national conference. This is the beginning of another 40 years.
Also speaking, Prince Adekunle, a founding member of the Nigerian Environmental Society, expressed delight that the organization, which began with just 10 individuals, has now grown to over 35 chapters across Nigeria and even beyond.
Going forward, I would like to see a society that represents who we are as a country. When I open the brochure, I like to see that this society represents who we are as a country, because that was the intention when we started in 1985.
Representing the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Mohamed Fall, the UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, commended the society's effort in promoting environmental awareness and called for stronger partnership to advance climate action and social justice in Africa.
The United Nations stands with you through the Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, through our work on climate adaptation, energy transition, and biodiversity. We are helping to translate the global commitment into local action here in Nigeria.
As the Nigerian Environmental Society marks another milestone in Abuja, participants are optimistic that the discussions will translate into practical steps towards building a cleaner, smarter, and more sustainable cities across Africa. Ubong Usoro for Global Television.
Kano State government has commenced sensitization for exclusive breastfeeding across the state. The campaign is to educate women on the importance of first 6 months breastfeeding of a newborn baby. Global TV's correspondent Idris Jibrin was at the Murtala Mohammed Specialist Hospital and now reports.
All over the world, health professionals recommend against giving other liquids, including water, to infants younger than 6 months because breast milk provides sufficient hydration and nutrients.
Breastfeeding is like the bedrock of a healthy growth and development. A child that is well breastfed in his infancy tends to do well in his adult life. And many diseases have been established clearly associated with poor feeding practices during infancy and childhood.
But this idea of practice seems very rare in northern Nigeria, hence the need for this sensitization campaign to educate women on the best possible ways to provide all the necessary nutrients and antibodies for healthy development and protect their children against illness like diarrhea, pneumonia and measles.
A lot of research has been done on this particular issue. That is why we now saw the importance of the exclusive breastfeeding. It's easy in the north to administer exclusive breastfeeding. That's just what we want to create awareness, because you see, the woman will be given the breast throughout 6 months without water, without even, she's not going to buy the milk. She can't buy the milk. The milk is already established in her body.
But there are challenges in embracing this exclusive breastfeeding, especially in conservative society like Kano, where poverty plays an important role among the less privileged.
A lot of cultural misconceptions, harmful cultural practices which people are practicing. So it's only through this kind of program that you dispel these misconceptions and then bring in correct information to the mothers so that they embrace this practice.
At the moment, it is very difficult to point a single woman with full 6 month exclusive. But Kano State government seems to have a solution to this.
Kano State government, under the leadership of Alhaji Abubakar Yusuf, is implementing a social protection which empowers households with some cash inputs.
Deep cultural beliefs among these conservative societies and poverty are believed to be responsible for the failure of women to embrace exclusive breastfeeding, especially in northern Nigeria. From Kano, Idris Jibrin, Global Television News.
You're watching the live broadcast of Meet the News. When Meet the News returns, federal government launches nationwide crackdown on all gold smugglers. Details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. It's good to have you back, and if you're just joining, this is Meet the News. In business, the Senate has renewed calls for greater transparency and strict compliance with laid down procedures in Nigeria's public procurement system, insisting that every naira spent by governments must translate into tangible, provable projects. Speaking at a 2-day retreat for members of the Senate Committee on Public Procurement in Abuja, the committee chairman, Senator Olajide Igbisagba, stressed the need to make procurement process more transparent, efficient, and accountable in line with international best practices. Igbisagba noted that while the enactment of the Public Procurement Act 2007 and establishment of the Bureau of Public Procurement were major steps forward, Nigeria still needed deeper reforms to strengthen compliance and integrity across the system. The National Economic Council says it would begin a crackdown on illegal gold miners as part of broader strategy to safeguard Nigeria's natural resources and boost government revenue. The move follows the Council's decision to expand the mandates of its ad hoc committee on crude oil theft prevention and control, chaired by Imo State Governor Hope Uzodimma, to include the fight against illegal mining and mineral smuggling. Briefing State House correspondents at the 153rd meeting of the Council, chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Uzodimma said the expanded term of reference reflects government's resolve to close off revenue leakages from solid minerals. And to some foreign stories, United States President Donald Trump says he is ending trade talks with Canada over anti-tariff advertising campaign, a sudden about face soon after a cordial White House meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney. On Truth Social Network, Trump vented fury at what he called a fake ad that he said misquoted former President Ronald Reagan discussing tariff policy. Trump said the campaign produced by the Canadian province of Ontario to be aired on U.S. television channels was designed to interfere with the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court, which is due to rule on his sweeping global tariffs. Also, the United Kingdom Supreme Court has dismissed an appeal by Process and Industrial Developments Limited, affirming that the Federal Republic of Nigeria is entitled to recover its legal costs in sterling rather than in naira, following its successful challenge to a multi-billion-dollar arbitral award. Delivering judgment, Lord Reed, President of the Supreme Court, unanimously upheld earlier rulings of the Commercial Court and the Court of Appeal that costs should be paid in the same currency in which Nigeria's legal obligations were incurred. The case rose across after Nigeria successfully overturned two arbitral awards granted to the Industrial Development Limited worth over $11 billion, including interest on grounds of fraud and public policy violations. United States President says Donald Trump says his discussions with Russian President Vladimir Putin have not yielded results as he announces new sanctions targeting Russia's two largest oil companies. The move signals a tougher stance by Washington as tensions rise over the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Here's Zarau Nasir with the report.
According to the White House, the sanctions are designated to pressure Moscow into agreeing to a peace deal with Kyiv, marking a significant shift from Trump's earlier hesitation to penalize Russia.
Well, I think that in terms of honesty, the only thing I can say is every time I speak with Vladimir, I have good conversations, and then they don't go anywhere. They just don't go anywhere. So in that sense, but no, look, he's fighting a war. He's in a war. That's two very competent sides, and that's the way war is. You never know with war, but I would say that it's time to make a deal. A lot of people are dying.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has welcomed the U.S. move, calling it a positive step toward ending the 3-year-old conflict that has claimed thousands of lives. Zahra Nasr, reporting for Global TV News.
In sports, in the meantime, Nigeria's former sports media body, the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria, SWAN, is rolling out the drums to celebrate its 60th anniversary, a milestone marking 6 decades of professionalism and contribution to sports development in the country. The national president of SWAN, Benjamin Zaya, made this known at a press conference in commemoration of the Diamond Jubilee in Abuja. Here is our correspondent with the details. Founded in 1964, the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria has grown from a small network of journalists into a national institution uniting thousands of sport reporters across the country. As it turned 60, SWAN says its Diamond Jubilee celebration is not just a party but a reflection on the journey of sports journalism in Nigeria and its impact on athletes, administrators, and the fans alike.
Rewarding people. You see, even God rewards people. And we felt that for 60 years of existence, some persons must have contributed in one way or the other to the growth and development of sports through our reportage. And we felt such persons needed to be rewarded.
Awards Committee Chairman Abdul Jafad Oladimeji, the main organizing committee, and the local organizing committee say the three-day event themed the power of sports media, honoring its legacy, shaping the future, will hold from October 29th to 31st in Abuja. Highlights include a sports media summit, a novelty football match, and the Diamond Jubilee Awards, where over 300 personalities from journalists to sports legends will be honored.
One, by carving out this award, is going to be reformative in the sense that if we succeed in appreciating these people, it will go a long way to show that whatever you are doing in sports, there are people watching you.
Director of Press and Public Relations Kemi Ajayi of the National Sports Commission say the commission is fully in support of SWAN while commending its leadership in its effort to mark such a milestone.
And I want to say that none of us is smarter than all of us. We should work in synergy. Like my president said, when it is our own occasion, let us celebrate ourselves.
Among dignitaries expected are the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, sports administrators, royal fathers, and veterans of the media industry. Anie T. Patrick, reporting for Global TV News. And that's it on Meet the News. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Anita Patrick. Thank you for being a part of the bulletin.